Greetings friends, and welcome to another classic WoW Hunter video. I'm your host Zera, and today we'll be talking about Hunter Pet Training 2.0. Let's get into it. Hunter Pet Training has been a topic of conversation in my Discord for several weeks, almost 2 months now, since the launch of Phase 5 and even leading up to Phase 5 in some cases. And the situation that has arisen is the argument of whether or not debate on whether or not nature resistance is necessary, or fire resistance is still necessary. Do we want a combination of the two? Is it better to have two pets? Is it better to go back and forth to your stables? Is there a price cap on the pet retraining back and forth? And here's the thing. There's not really a wrong answer here. I'm going to give you a list of options that you can utilize. Matter of fact, I came up with 3 significant types of pet trainings that you can utilize for you and your pets, both individual pet and a host of pets if you choose to do so. So here's going to be a list of options. I'm going to give you an example of these on the screen, and you can find these in the description down below via the Discord. Join it today. True Shot Brigade is an amazing community of over 5,000 members of Classic WoW Hunters just like yourself, who want to be able to learn and adapt and just learn and grow as a community. Back to pet training. The issue that has arisen is the conversation of whether or not do you want to have FR and NR, do you want to have just FR, just NR, is it good to go with armor or stamina? Do you use 1 focus dump, 2 focus dumps? Do you utilize dash or prowl? Is a bat good? Is an owl good? Is Screech any good in any case whatsoever in PvE? Does attack speed have anything to do with the pet's usefulness? Let's just dissect these one at a time. Let's start, of course, with the most basic, attack speed. At the end of the day, attack speed doesn't really have much of an impact. There is, and there has been, some deep diving into the equations by some folks in the community. I've even got personal emails from people on my YouTube email reaching out to me and saying, hey Zera, I use a 1.5 second attack speed and a 1.0 second attack speed and a 1.2 second attack speed, took them to Blast and Lance, and I tested it on the unkillable mobs. And the research that showed is that the 1.5 second attack speed pet actually out-damaged the 2 faster attacking pets. Now, if you were to ask me, I don't think that's personally a large enough pool of data to look through to basically come to a substantial conclusion. And the reason I say that is because over the past, 8, 9, 10 months that Classic has been around and we've been actively raiding, basically we've been raiding MC since the end of the first month, so that's been over almost 11 plus months now. And the thing is that I've tested various cats, various things with different attack speeds, and I've found virtually no difference whatsoever. And I think that, law of averages is going to dictate that it doesn't really matter. The fact that a slower pet is going to hit harder, but then hit less frequently than a pet that hits not quite as hard, but hits more frequently, that's just going to balance itself out. So at the end of the day, pick a pet that you believe fits your meta, fits your playstyle, fits your transmog, if you want to call it a transmog, with the gear you're wearing. Just some kind of fantasy-driven purpose to that pet. I've got a couple of hunters in my guild that are in my raid, and they prefer to run different pets of different colors on different days of the week or different raids. And you know what? I applaud that. That's incredible. That's awesome. And that gives the pet a certain sense of sentimental value. And if I had to tell you which way to go, I would say go that route. Pick a pet that means something to you based on its color, the way it looks, and how it fits into your fantasy as World of Warcraft Classic players. Moving past attack speed, let's talk about the bat and the owl for a second. The thing that I want to stress here is the fact that a bat and an owl both have a 1.07 attack multiplier. So they're not quite as high as a cat, but they are much higher than others, i.e. boars, bears, turtles, obviously, and things of that nature. So they're good pets. They're not best pets, but they're good pets. Now, The thing about having a bat is the fact that it only has bite, whereas an owl has claw, and at the end of the day, are these better? And let's go ahead and knock that out. Whether it's a bat or an owl, or a cat in general, bat and claw, this conversation, this argument, this debate has arisen time and time again. At the end of the day, much like an attack speed, it doesn't really matter. Bite is going to do upwards to 80 or 90% more damage than claw is going to do, but it's going to do it less frequently. Whereas in claw, no cooldown, 25 focus, just literally the definition of a focus dump, just bop, 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 and then your pet is focus starved, and then the claws are going to come a little bit slower. Whereas in bite, slow and steady, slow and steady, slow and steady, but it hits substantially harder, than claw does. So again, at the end of an entire raid scenario, raid encounter, one of the other is not going to beat out the other more consistently than the other might. Because let's give an example. Let's say that claw landed 33 times in a given fight. Okay, fine, that's cool. Let's say that bite landed 17, 18 times in that given amount of time. But here's the thing. Bite crit 9 times. Claw crit maybe 11 times. So at the end of the day, that bite, since it crit and it already does almost double the damage of claw anyway, that's going to tip the scales in bite's favor. Whereas in, let's say that a fight only lasted 15, 20 seconds and you got only 2 bites in, whereas in you got like 7 or 8 claws in. I mean, you see, claw's gonna, so it doesn't really matter. Law of averages, again, is going to dictate that neither one of these is going to win out more consistently than the other. So my best advice to you, go with your gut feeling. If you feel like bite does more damage for you, if you feel like claw does more damage for you, and you can even take this to the Warcraft logs, and that is up to you. You can do that. It's perfectly fine. Me personally, I've always stuck with claw. I've felt like claw is just, it's always there, it's always steady, it always just lands beautifully. And to be completely honest, regardless if it's, a miss, a dodge, a parry, a glancing blow, I'm not even sure if half of that a pet can even have happened to it. But I know that my pet's attacking every 1 second, and I just like seeing claw just bop, 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 especially early on in the fight. And here's another scenario where I want to throw this at you. I don't want there to be a situation where claw never had a shot to get off. Whereas in bite, let's say that bite's on cooldown for like 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just before you get to that cooldown reduction to hit 0 and bite to come back and whap, the boss dies. And you're like, dang, I missed it by that much. You're never going to have that problem with claw. It's never going to happen. As long as your pet's got focus, pow, that shot's going to get out there. And that's all there is to it. So for me personally, I stick with claw. Now, moving forward with the conversation between a bat and an owl. What this basically boils down to is Screech. And at the end of the day, Screech had an amazing amount of usefulness for BWL. It really did. Broodlord and fights like Ebon Rock and Flame Gore and all these other situations where having that mitigate your tank's damage that they're taking from physical shots was really helpful, because that eliminated them having to worry so much about melee attacks, because they're soaking Shadow Flame, several times in that fight. Same thing with Broodlord and his Mortal Strike. There are so many different places that Screech was useful. Now, fast forward to AQ40, and you realize very quickly that if your guild is clearing AQ40 pretty consistently, and that's due to them either having great experience, great coordination, or they're just decked the hell out of BWL gear, then maybe you're in a similar situation to us and these AQ40 bosses are hitting like a wet noodle, and they don't really do a whole lot of damage. Because here's the thing that dawned on me pretty quickly, is that AQ40 has less to do about mitigating damage that's being done to a tank, and has more to do with the entirety of the raid as a whole following a certain mechanic. So, whereas in BWL, it did actually boil down to a tank living and dying Now it's not so much about a tank living or dying as it is the raid as a whole just following a simple mechanic. For example, no cleave on Prophet Scarum. You don't want to blow up somebody who's got mind control. I speak from personal experience. I was that guy a couple of times. My apologies to Lyrinerf, Prolific, and Rave Boy, and Zeo, and Sidworth, and all my other warrior buddies. I apologize. But this is my point, is the fact that AQ40 is more about following a certain kind of mechanic, whether it's don't cleave, or maybe it's don't overtake the tank in threat. Perhaps it is avoiding, Oro's Quake mechanic. Maybe it is making sure that your mages are rolling Ignite so that the mage can soak a Sandblast, which means he has to blink out in time. Or maybe it's a situation with the Twin Imps where the tank has to be on top of the Twin Imps just as they're teleporting, so they're the closest, so they get that initial threat, and then the Warlocks pull threat off, Hunters pull your pet out in time before teleport, Melee run out on time. I mean, these are so many different things that entail AQ40 as a whole, and that is the reason why wipes occur, and not because damage being done to your tank initially, or really, period. And there is another issue that I've had arisen with utilizing Screech, and it is the AoE portion of it. Number one, it's an AoE. You can't really control it very effectively, and again, in BWL, in situations where bosses are just kind of willy-nilly off on their own, they don't have ads, don't have no issues, no problems, it's a non-issue. You just throw your pet in, problem solved. AQ40, however, you've got ads with Ahn'Qiraj. You've got the bug trio, which there's 3 bosses. Screech can and has in the past, I've seen it, since it is a threat mechanic, pull threat off in some cases, because there is a threat wipe mechanic in the bug trio, which can really suck. And then there's also this situation with, utilizing it during Twin Imps. If you aggro the neutral mobs and the neutral bugs, guess what happens? Your pet's going to gather them with Screech, and then all of a sudden a healer's going to throw a regrowth or a greater heal or a flash of light or whatever it is, and that bug that's neutral that was attacking your Al's going to say, what was that? There's a heal? Let me go over there and see what that's all about. So there's different situations where Screech is useful, granted, but in AQ40, the downside is just too great. You're better off not utilizing it, not worrying about it, just forego it completely, and moving on to a cat and utilizing it as DPS. Now, there is a question that I've seen come up very rarely, but it has come up. Zera, cats, and raptors, they do the same amount of damage. They have the same damage multiplier. Why cats instead? Why not raptors instead of cats? Here's the reason. Dash. Point blank. Raptors don't get it. Cats do. It's the weirdest freaking thing. I thought for sure that raptors would have it, but when I went and looked, no bueno, homie. That don't exist. And the thing is that dash is very, very useful. And this brings me to my next point, is that what unique abilities do I utilize? And I used to utilize Prowl. I used to, back in the day. As a matter of fact, if you go watch my pet training video originally, I probably said that Prowl's good. Hindsight, not so much. You're better off just simply dismissing your pet when you're going from point A to point B, or putting your pet in stay in a corner somewhere where you know a mob's not going to aggro it, or you know a mob's not going to, basically you've already killed all the padding and the patrols in that area, and you put your pet there, put him on stay, boom, he'll despawn, you can summon him later. Because the situation arises where you're moving from point A to point B in a raid, you don't want your pet to get all wonky. If you're jumping off a ledge or whatever, you forget to dismiss it, you put it, whatever. You don't want that to happen. So I've always utilized Prowl in the past to eliminate that concern. Well, in hindsight, it's not worth the 25 training points to slap on your pet. You're better off just moving off and utilizing those 25 points elsewhere. So my recommendation, if you're using a cat, which I recommend to most of you, if you're not, please make the effort, make the turn, go to a pet that is a cat, and I promise you, you won't regret it. Utilize Claw or Bite, doesn't really matter as long as it's max rank, and then utilize Dash. And the thing about Dash is that you can utilize it to throw your pet in, so you get maximum uptime, you get immediate uptime, or B, do what I do, and I just let my pet just go in, on its own, regular speed, and I save Dash utilizing a macro that's very simple to implement. You just simply do, /pet follow, all one word, and then back and underneath that, backslash, cast dash rank 3, whatever. And then that will allow your pet to come to your position. And you can even do pet passive instead of pet follow. It doesn't really matter. As long as your pet wasn't originally on stay somewhere, then if you hit pet passive, he'll go to his stay position. So that can work too. Otherwise, you just have him put on pet passive or pet follow, and he'll come back to you normally. And the situation is that will allow him to get out of a mechanic such as Battleguard Satori's Cleaving, Prophet Scarab's Arcane Explosion, or anything else that you can think of. Oro's Quake, for example, is another prime example. Getting him out of Twin Emperors faster to maintain that ability to make sure he doesn't allow you to get on the threat table because your pet was there, soak the initial threat of the Twin Imps, and then the pet dies, and then they come to you. So these are all good tips to use with Dash. And I promise you, once you start doing this mechanic, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. And it's going to give your pet a lot more survivability at that. Now, it doesn't really matter how you train it as long as you follow these 3 simple guidelines. And these 3 simple setups will be in the Discord, linked down below. Join the True Shot Brigade today and check out the pet training channel. I'll leave a link to the video linked here and show you guys how to get there. Now, the beautiful thing about this pet training is that you've got a all out. I mean, I'm talking you sell out for FR or you sell out for NR, and that's it. Then there's a more balanced approach where you've got NR with shadow resistance, or you've got FR with shadow resistance, because aside from NR and FR, shadow resistance is the one that gives you the most trouble, whether it's Major Domo or the Anubisath warriors inside AQ40 with their shadow bolt volleys. It's really nice to have shadow resistance on your pet for situations like that. And then the other thing that might come in handy is the idea of either selling all out for FR, all out for NR. And when I say all out, you'll see what I'm talking about. You go all the way to rank 4, or you go all the way to rank 4 NR, FR, and that's it. You don't do anything else. You just rank 4 FR or rank 4 NR. And then the balanced approach for AQ40 is going to be a rank 3 NR, rank 3 SR. Same thing for BWL, MC, and Oni. You do a rank 3 FR and a rank 3 SR, and that's it. You spend the rest of your points getting things like max, as much damage you can possibly get on top of Claw, Dash, and that's it. Like I said, all these will be linked down below in the Discord. And the last thing you can do, and this is probably the approach that I'm going to take, mainly just because I'm lazy, I'll be honest with you. There is the one and done type of training where you literally just go to the pet trainer and you tell the pet trainer, hey, let me just erase all my pet's abilities, and then I'm going to teach my pet rank 3 NR, rank 3 FR, and then go with 1 focus dump, which in my case would be Claw. You may use Bite, it's up to you. Doesn't really matter. And then rank 3 Dash, and then the last thing would be maybe rank 2 or rank 1, I can't remember, of Natural Armor. Now on top of rank 9 of Greater Stamina. Now these are going to be, to me, is your best option. Number 1, you have you're giving your pet 90 FR and 90 NR. So he's going to be set up basically for BWL, and he'll be set up for AQ40. Sure, he'll have 30 less than he would if you'd gone all out, but he has a more balanced approach. He'll be able to survive most encounters in AQ40, most encounters in BWL, as long as you manage him correctly. And to me, it's going to save me multiple trips to the pet trainer. I can just throw him in the stable when I'm done with him, and then I can pull out my other cat for PvP whenever I'm ready and go from there. So to me, that's my final recommendation. Utilize either the all-out approach, where you go all out for FR, all out for NR. Second approach is you can do a balanced approach for each individual raid. You can do NR SR or FR SR. Or your third and final option is simply do the one and done. Do rank 3 FR, rank 3 NR, and then fill in the rest as you normally would with rank 9 Greater Stamina, Claw, Dash, and then maybe rank 1 or 2 of Natural Armor. Those are really your best options. And you could do the other thing that I mentioned previously, which is have 2 pets. Have 1 for FR and have 1 for NR. But since we have such a limited stable space, not a whole lot of hunters want to do that. I personally don't want to do that. So, but it is an option for those of you that want to simplify this process altogether. So with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy the new backdrop. I do apologize for the audio being a little off. I I'm having to use a lavalier mic that is not very good, and I actually had a video boom microphone set up, and it doesn't want to work with my phone, so I've got to get an adapter. And hopefully next week you'll see not only this, set get better, but you'll also see the audio for the new set get better. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and I love you guys as always. Be sure to check out the links down below for twitch.tv/saltyzera. And remember, I said there was going to be something special for this video, and if you made it to the end of this video, here it is. I have a game card for World of Warcraft available, and I'm going to put that up for auction on my stream, twitch.tv/saltyzera, and it will require you to follow the channel, and you will need to invest time into the channel so you can build up points, and then at that point you will be able to spend points in the future. I believe I'm going to do it sometime next week. I haven't set a date yet, so keep an eye out for next week's video to finalize that. And yeah, be looking forward to seeing you guys on the stream, enjoying the rank 12 grind. We are rank 3 now, I believe, after this afternoon's reset, so really excited. Went from 0 to 3, and I'll be looking forward to getting another 250,000 honor or more this week. I love you guys as always, and I'll see you in the stream tomorrow. Zera's out, everybody.